this call to service. And for their families, I thank you all for your sacrifice. You know, we could not do this without you, in my view. Together, these public servants will restore America globally, its global leadership, and its moral leadership, and will ensure that our service members, diplomats, and intelligence professionals can do their job free of politics. They'll not only repair, they'll also reimagine American foreign policy and national security for the next generation. And they'll tell me what I need to know, not what I want to know, what I need to know. To the American people, this team will make us proud to be Americans. And as more states certify the results of this election, there's progress to wrap up our victory. You know, I'm pleased to have received the ascertainment from GSA to carry out a smooth and peaceful transition of power, so our teams can prepare to meet the challenges at hand, to control the pandemic, to build back better, and to protect the safety and security of the American people. And to the United States Senate, I hope these outstanding nominees received a prompt hearing and that we can work across the aisle in good faith to move forward for the country. Let's begin that work to heal and unite. To heal and unite America as well as the world. I want to thank you all. May God bless you. May God protect our troops. And now I turn this over to this new team, starting with our next Secretary of State, Tony Blinken. Get my mask here, Tony, so I don't get in trouble. And we're going to clean off the podium.
Good afternoon. Mr. President-elect, Vice President-elect Harris, thank you for your trust and your confidence. If confirmed by the United States Senate, I will do everything I can to earn it. Mr. President-elect, working for you, having you as a mentor and friend, has been the greatest privilege of my professional life. So many people have brought me to this day, from college classmates to bandmates, my colleagues in the Clinton and Obama administrations, in the Senate, and at the State Department. I thank them all, and I ask forgiveness for my insatiable appetite for bad puns. Mostly, I'd like to thank my family, sisters and sisters-in-law, brothers-in-law, nieces and nephews, my wonderful in-laws, the Ryans, and especially my wife, Evan Ryan, and our children, John and Lila. They are truly my greatest blessings. For my family, as for so many generations of Americans, America has literally been the last best hope on earth. My grandfather, Maurice Blinken, fled pogroms in Russia and made a new life in America. His son, my father, Donald Blinken, served in the United States Air Force during World War II, and then as a United States ambassador. He is my role model and my hero. His wife, Vera Blinken, fled communist Hungary as a young girl and helped future generations of refugees come to America. My mother, Judith Pizarre, builds bridges between America and the world through arts and culture. She is my greatest champion. And my late stepfather, Samuel Pizarre. He was one of 900 children in his school in Białystok, Poland, but the only one to survive the Holocaust after 4 years in concentration camps. At the end of the war, he made a break from a death march into the woods in Bavaria. From his hiding place, he heard a deep rumbling sound. It was a tank, but instead of the Iron Cross, he saw painted on its side a 5-pointed white star. He ran to the tank. The hatch opened. An African-American GI looked down at him. He got down on his knees and said the only 3 words that he knew in English that his mother taught him before the war. God bless America. That's who we are. That's what America represents to the world, however imperfectly. Now, we have to proceed with equal measures of humility and confidence. Humility because, as the President-elect said, we can't solve all of the world's problems alone. We need to be working with other countries. We need their cooperation. We need their partnership. But also confidence, because America, at its best, still has a greater ability than any other country on earth to bring others together to meet the challenges of our time. And that's where the men and women of the State Department, Foreign Service officers, civil service, that's where they come in. I've witnessed their passion, their energy, their courage up close. I've seen what they do to keep us safe, to make us more prosperous. I've seen them add luster to a word that deserves our respect, diplomacy. If confirmed, it will be the honor of my life to help guide them. So thank you all, and may God bless America.
Good afternoon, Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect. Thank you for placing your trust in me to lead the Department of Homeland Security. Thank you for the privilege of returning, with the consent of the Senate, to government service as a member of your administration. It is the honor of a lifetime. The Department of Homeland Security has a noble mission to help keep us safe and to advance our proud history as a country of welcome. There are more than 240,000 career employees who selflessly dedicate their talent and energy to this mission. Many risk their lives in doing so. I would be honored to return to the department and support these dedicated public servants in fulfilling their responsibilities and realizing our country's greatest hopes, all in partnership with the communities we serve. For 12 years, I had the privilege to stand in a federal courtroom and denounce Alejandro Mayorkas on behalf of the United States of America. The words, "on behalf of the United States of America," meant everything to me and to my parents, whom I think of today and every day. My father and mother brought me to this country to escape communism. They cherished our democracy and were intensely proud to become United States citizens, as was I. I have carried that pride throughout my nearly 20 years of government service and throughout my life. My parents are not here to see this day. Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, please know that I will work day and night in the service of our nation to ably lead the men and women of the United States Department of Homeland Security and to bring honor to my parents and to the trust you have placed in me to carry your vision for our country forward. Thank you.
Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, I am grateful and even more so humbled by the trust that you placed in me for this role. I'm especially honored to be standing not only by your side, but also alongside some of the most talented and inspiring public servants this country has ever seen. I know, Mr. President-elect and Madam Vice President-elect, that you've selected us not to serve you, but to serve on behalf of the American people, to help advance our security, our prosperity, our values.
Fabulous.
That the call to service in this role is what makes this nomination such a tremendous honor. If afforded the opportunity to do so, I will never forget that my role on this team is unique. Better than that of a policy advisor, I will represent to you, Congress, and the American public the patriots who comprise our intelligence community. Mr. President-elect, you know that I have never shied away from speaking truth to power, and that will be my charge as Director of National Intelligence. I've worked for you for a long time, and I accept this nomination knowing that you would never want me to do otherwise, and that you value the perspective of the intelligence community, and that you will do so even when what I have to say may be inconvenient or difficult, and I assure you there will be those times. And finally, to our intelligence professionals, the work you do, oftentimes under the most austere conditions imaginable, is just indispensable. It will become even more complex because you will be critical to helping this administration position itself not only against threats such as cyber attacks or terrorism and the proliferation of nuclear, biological, or chemical weapons, but also those challenges that will define the next generation, from climate change to pandemics and corruption. And it would be the honor of a lifetime to be able to work alongside you once again to take these challenges on together. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect. I'm humbled and honored by the trust that you've placed in me to become a member of your cabinet as Ambassador to the United Nations.
Ambassador to the United Nations.
In the years that I've worked in government, I'm always struck by how only in America would we be where we are today, where life can be hard and cruel, but there's hope in the struggle. There's promise in our dreams, where you learn to believe in yourself and that anything is possible. Like both of you, I learned from my family. Mr. President-elect, thank you for those generous words that you said about me. My parents had very little back in Louisiana where I grew up, but they gave me and my siblings everything they had. And I know how proud they would be of this day. On this day, I'm also missing my mentor, Ambassador Ed Perkins, who served as the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations under President George H.W. Bush and President Clinton, and who was also from Louisiana. He told me constantly, Linda, don't undersell yourself. And he would always do everything possible to lift me up. He passed away last week, but I know he's here with us today. And on this day, I'm thinking about the American people, my fellow career diplomats and public servants around the world. I want to say to you, America is back. Multilateralism is back. Diplomacy is back. Mr. President-elect, I've often heard you say how all politics is personal, and that's how you build relationships of trust and bridge disagreements and find common ground. And in my 35 years in the Foreign Service across 4 continents, I put a Cajun spin on it. I called it gumbo diplomacy. Wherever I was posted around the world, I'd invite people of different backgrounds and beliefs to help me make a roux and chop onions for the Holy Trinity and make homemade gumbo. It was my way of breaking down barriers, connecting with people, and starting to see each other on a human level. A bit of lagniappe is what we say in Louisiana. That's the charge in front of us today. The challenges we face, a global pandemic, the global economy, the global climate change crisis, mass migration and extreme poverty, social justice, are unrelenting and interconnected, but they're not unresolvable if America is leading the way. Thank you.
President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, thank you. Mr. President-elect, I am honored and humbled by the immense responsibility that you placed in me of being your national security advisor. I pledge to you and to the American people that I will work relentlessly in service of the mission you have given us, to keep our country and our people safe, to advance our national interests, and to defend our values. I pledge to the exceptional national security team you see behind me, and to the brilliant and diverse career professionals across our government, that I will manage a humane and rigorous decision-making process that honors their work. And I pledge to my parents, who taught my brothers, my sister, and me to work hard, tell the truth, and serve others, that I will do my utmost to make you proud. Sir, we will be vigilant in the face of enduring threats, from nuclear weapons to terrorism. But you have also tasked us with reimagining our national security for the unprecedented combination of crises we face at home and abroad. The pandemic, the economic crisis, the climate crisis, technological disruption, threats to democracy, racial injustice, and inequality in all forms. The work of the team behind me today will contribute to progress across all of these fronts. You have also tasked us with putting people at the center of our foreign policy. You've told us that the alliances we rebuild, the institutions we lead, the agreements we sign, all of them should be judged by a basic question. Will this make life better, easier, safer for families across this country? Our foreign policy has to deliver for these families. And perhaps most importantly, you've tasked us with helping unite America, as you said in your remarks, through our work to pull people together to tackle big challenges. My wife, Maggie, the love of my life and my partner in all things, served as a senior advisor to Senator John McCain. She and I shared this commitment to common ground deep in our bones. To the American people, I had the honor of serving as Joe Biden's national security advisor when he was vice president. I learned a lot, about diplomacy, about strategy, about policy, but most importantly about human nature. I watched him pair strength and resolve with humanity and empathy. That is the person America elected, and that is also America at its best. So, Mr. President-elect, thank you for giving this kid from the heartland an extraordinary opportunity to serve the country I love.
Mr. President-elect, Vice President-elect Harris, thank you, Mr. President-elect, for your generous words. And most of all, thank you for the trust and the responsibility of this appointment. I will do all in my power to live up to your expectations and to this moment for our country and for the world. And I begin by thanking my family for empowering me and encouraging me to take this task on. Secretary-designate Blinken, we've worked together for many years on the Foreign Relations Committee and at Foggy Bottom, and it will be a huge pleasure to partner with you again. You will be a terrific secretary. Mr. President-elect, you've put forward a bold, transformative climate plan. But you've also underscored that no country alone can solve this challenge. Even the United States, for all of our industrial strength, is responsible for only 13% of global emissions. To end this crisis, the whole world must come together. You're right to rejoin Paris on day one, and you're right to recognize that Paris alone is not enough. At the global meeting in Glasgow 1 year from now, all nations must raise ambition together, or we will all fail together. And failure is not an option. Succeeding together means tapping into the best of American ingenuity, creativity, and diplomacy, from brain power to alternative energy power, using every tool we have to get where we have to go. No one should doubt the determination of this president, vice president. They shouldn't doubt the determination of the country that went to the moon, cured supposedly incurable diseases, and beat back global tyranny, to win World War II. This kind of crisis demands that kind of leadership again, and President Biden will provide it. The road ahead is exciting, actually. It means creating millions of middle-class jobs. It means less pollution in our air and ocean. It means making life healthier for citizens across the world. And it means we will strengthen the security of every nation in the world. In addressing the climate crisis, President-elect Joe Biden is determined to seize the future now and leave a healing planet to future generations. 57 years ago, this week, Joe Biden and I were college kids when we lost the president who inspired both of us to try to make a difference. A president who reminded us that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own. President Joe Biden will trust in God, and he will also trust in science to guide our work on earth to protect God's creation. Mr. President-elect, Vice President-elect Harris, I look forward to getting to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Kerry. And congratulations, Mr. President-elect, on bringing together this extraordinary team. I have always believed in the nobility of public service, and these Americans embody it. Their lives and careers are a testament to the dedication, sacrifice, and commitment to civic responsibility that have strengthened our democracy and kept America's promise alive for more than 200 years. President-elect Biden and I have long known that when we were elected, we would inherit a series of unprecedented challenges upon walking into the White House. Addressing these challenges starts with getting this pandemic under control, opening our economy responsibly, and making sure it works for working people. And we also know that our challenges will require us here at home to overcome those issues that block our ability to proceed. Our challenge here is a necessary foundation for restoring and advancing our leadership around the world. And we are ready for that work. We will need to reassemble and renew America's alliances, rebuild and strengthen the national security and foreign policy institutions that keep us safe and advance our nation's interests, and confront and combat the existential threat of climate change that endangers us all. I take these issues very seriously. My whole career has been about keeping people safe, from serving as district attorney to California's attorney general to the United States Senate, where I have served on the Intelligence and Homeland Security committees. I've come to know firsthand the gravity of the challenges and threats facing the United States. And over the past few months, I've also come to know the sound judgment, expertise, and character of the people on this stage. I can say with confidence that they are, to a person, the right women and men for these critical positions. And I look forward to working alongside them on behalf of the American people, and on behalf of a president who will ask tough questions, demand that we be guided by facts, and expect our team to speak the truth, no matter what. A president who will be focused on one thing and one thing only, doing what is best for the people of the United States of America. When Joe asked me to be his running mate, he told me about his commitment to making sure we selected a cabinet that looks like America, that reflects
That was important
the
to me
best
too.
of our nation. And that's what we have done. Today's nominees and appointees come from different places. They bring a range of different life and professional experiences and perspectives. And they also share something else in common: an unwavering belief in America's ideals, an unshakable commitment to democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. And they understand the indispensable role of America's leadership in the world. These women and men are patriots and public servants to their core. And they are leaders, the leaders we need to meet the challenges of this moment and those that lie ahead. Thank you.
Thank all here for the session. All right. Thank you, folks.
They not answering no questions.
And we've been listening to President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris announce the members of their national security and foreign policy teams. Mr. Biden stressed the experience and diversity of his picks. He said he believes America is strongest when she works with her allies, signaling a turn away from the nationalism and isolationism that largely characterized the Trump administration's foreign policy. Mr. Biden also talked about elevating the issue of climate change into the newly created position of a presidential climate envoy for his administration. We, of course, then heard directly from the nominees themselves. Tony Blinken, nominated for Secretary of State; Alejandro Mayorkas, nominee to lead the Department of Homeland Security; Avril Haines, Director of National Intelligence nominee; Linda Thomas Greenfield, Ambassador to the UN; Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor nominee; and John Kerry, speaking about his vision for the newly created role of Presidential Envoy on Climate. You will recall Kerry was one of the architects of the Paris Climate Agreement, which Mr. Biden has signaled the U.S. will re-enter. For more on all of this, I want to turn to Ken Thomas, a political reporter covering Mr. Biden for the Wall Street Journal. Ken, welcome. So what did you make of Mr. Biden's announcements about his team and what we heard from the nominees themselves? I found several of them quite moving.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've covered Joe Biden for a long time, and he always says that all politics is personal.
So they cut it off. Yeah, they cut it off. So that's the cabinet people, including John Kerry.
I'm just going to go ahead and get out of the way here so Harvey can talk about Obama's book for the next 20 minutes or so. What are you talking about? Why won't you shut up about it? And by the way, I will say this. You're not alone. There are a lot of people who are just buying up this book. In fact, they're buying it up so quickly that it is causing a big problem heading into the holidays. How so?
Bookstores around the country are kind of having a good problem. These books are selling like hotcakes right now, but they physically do not have the space to keep all of them. There was one bookstore owner in Nashville who said that they've turned the middle section of their store into a shipping facility because so much of their business is out of state and it's done online. But I guess this is a good problem to have, especially with Christmas around the corner. And it's not like bookstores in the past couple of years have been doing so well, so it's good that they're finally catching a break.
You know why they're having a problem? It's because it's 700-something pages long. That just to put the book, just putting stacks.
Well, you get it on
a
Kindle and you're good to go.
I mean, I don't know why people aren't reading that way anymore. A lot of people still like to just read a hard copy. I used to do that, and I stopped as soon as Kindle came out, and I love it. I got to tell you something. I'm reading the book, and I'm not close to being done yet, and he's not. He's running for president. That's where I stopped last night. But I got to tell you, this is an exceptional autobiography. He is such a deep thinker, but it's one of those things where he is a deep thinker, and then he lands it and makes it really understandable and even useful to understand. I loved it. I love this book, and I'm excited that it's 700. I like it so much so far that I'm really enjoying it. But I know you're liking it. Just before you dive into this, just for people who want to get the book, like we're saying, it's hard to get it hard copy. But if you're going to buy it digitally, this sounds really intimidating, even more intimidating to be reading 700 pages on an e-reader as opposed to actually flipping the pages. Well, look, if it's a crappy book, then 700 pages is endless. This is a great book. So I love the fact that I'm going to be nursing this book for several weeks now to finish it because it's so good. When he was a state senator in Illinois, he really formed this view because he was going around the state when he was a state senator and he was thinking of maybe running for Senate. And before he decided for U.S. Senate, but before he decided, he just took a tour around the state. And he went to urban areas, rural areas. Illinois is one of the most diverse states that we have. And what he was left with that never left him was that people have the same issues regardless of their income, regardless of their social status, regardless of their circumstances, that even though people have differences, there's so much that is the same, that people have the same issues they're concerned about. And God, I can't wait to hear, what he says about the state of the country right now, because on the one hand, he's saying that, and on the other hand, how does he reconcile that with the fact that we have such a division that it's almost in the DNA? But that's the point, Harvey. All the people that are divided, we have the same issues. Both sides have the same issues. It's just how they think, what they think is the solution.
Hi, I'm Maggie. I'm calling in from Vancouver, BC. And I think that one of the reasons that Obama's book is selling absolutely so well is because at a time like this, Black Lives Matter is so present in our life and people are really educating themselves. And I think that sharing Black stories is really a really good reminder to white people to keep going and to keep fighting, because even the president has dealt with these terrible issues when it comes to racism. And I think it's a reminder to people of color that someone as important and powerful as the president of the United States has been in your shoes and has dealt with what you have dealt with. And I think that's part of the reason that it's doing so well.
I think it's a good point. He's at the same time one of us, and at the same time so different, because he really is exceptional in terms of his worldview, the way he thinks, and how he formed all those views. It is really a fascinating. I love this book.
Yep. Very good.
Vice President Donald Trump has made a very brief appearance at the White House press room this morning to celebrate a milestone that's been reached on the US stock market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average hit 30,000 for the first time in its 100
It's because he's gone.
history. It first cracked the 20,000 mark in early 2017, just after the president took office. This morning, President Trump spoke briefly with Mike Pence by his side. The statement went just over a minute. He took no questions.
Thank you very much, and I just want to congratulate everybody. The stock market, Dow Jones Industrial Average, just hit 30,000, which is the highest in history. We've never broken 30,000, and that's just despite everything that's taken place with the pandemic. I'm very thrilled with what's happened on the vaccine front. That's been absolutely incredible. Nothing like that has ever happened medically, and I think people are acknowledging that, and it's having a big effect. But the stock market's just broken 30,000. Never been broken, that number. That's a sacred number, 30,000. Nobody thought they'd ever see it.
Vice President Mike Pence says the Trump administration is behind the milestone. In 4 short years, President Trump revived our economy, cut taxes, rolled back regulation, fought for free and fair trade, unleashed America's energy, and created more than 7 million good-paying jobs. So today, the Dow Jones hit 30,000 for the first time ever.
It's not because of him. It's because Joe Biden is coming in. Oh, these people are so crazy. Mm.